Okay, so before we jump into this video, I want to say this right off the bat. I am not coming at this through the lens of any political stance. If you're on YouTube, this is a psychology channel. If you're on Facebook, this is a psychology page. I am just super interested in psychology. I do different studies on different parts of life and how psychology can play into those different parts of life. This just so happens to be a political video, but do not want you to think that I'm coming at any political party or standing up for any political party. This is just a guy who enjoys psychological content and likes to share what I learn. So without further ado, keep that in mind. This can apply to every human being, no matter what political party you stand for. I just want to maybe make people think a little bit. So without further ado, let's do it. So I've already done a video covering tribalism, herd mentality, and groupthink. All three of those. But those are kind of the foundation of this video. So I'm going to quickly go over those again real quick. And how they can play into the politics, So here it is. So tribalism is our tendency to divide people into us and them. Now, thousands of years ago, this helped humans survive because sticking with your tribe increased your chances of staying alive. But how it shows up in politics today, I've taken many notes, so bear with me. Many people don't disagree with the other political side. They begin to see them as the enemy. Supporting your team or your political party can become more important than evaluating each issue on its own merits. So an interesting fact is brain imaging studies suggest that when people think about their in-group reward-related areas of the brain can become more active. Our brains are naturally rewired to value belonging. So our brains, all of this is interesting. Herd mentality. Herd mentality is our tendency to adopt the opinions or behavior of the people around us, especially when we're uncertain. If everyone in your family, friend group, or online community believes something, it becomes much easier to accept that belief without examining it closely. This doesn't happen because people are unintelligent. It's a normal human tendency. An interesting fact about that, there's a famous psychologist named Solomon Asch, I think is his last name. He found that many people would knowingly give an obviously wrong answer to a simple question just because everyone else in the room gave that answer first. It's strong stuff, okay? So just because a belief is popular doesn't automatically make it true. History is full of moments when large groups of people were confidently wrong. Groupthink happens when a group's desire for harmony and agreement becomes so strong that members stop questioning ideas or raising concerns. How this can show up in politics: people may stay silent because they don't want to be criticized, lose friends, or be labeled as disloyal. As fewer people speak up, the group becomes more convinced that everyone agrees, even when many have private doubts. An interesting fact about groupthink is groupthink has been blamed for several major historical mistakes because decision makers discouraged dissent instead of encouraging critical discussion. The healthiest groups aren't the ones where everyone agrees. They're the ones where people feel safe enough to disagree. So that's kind of just the foundation of this, okay? And the reason I wanted to cover this at all is because, for one, I'm not a super political guy, but I just really love psychology. I love learning about it in different ways. And I noticed that, obviously, look around. The country is very divided on many things, and a lot of this stuff goes into it. I have tons of notes here. I'm not going to cover every single one of them, or it's going to make this video very long. But one of them that caught my eye is called in-group versus out-group bias. So we naturally favor our group and become more suspicious of their group. Why it's dangerous. it can make us dismiss good ideas simply because they came from the other side. Good ideas don't belong to one political party, though. So, like, just because they're not a part of your political party doesn't mean that they might not have a good idea or two somewhere in there, But because of all these other psychological tendencies we have, it can become that way. We can think like that. Another one's called moral conviction. So the idea is political issues often become moral issues rather than policy disagreements. And why that matters is when you believe your position is a moral obligation, compromise can feel like betrayal. Not every disagreement means the other person lacks morals. So that kind of speaks for itself as well, I mean, this one I find very interesting. It's called motivated reasoning. So instead of asking, is this true? We often ask, can I defend what I already believe? And why it happens is emotions influence reasoning without us realizing it. Sometimes we're acting like lawyers defending our side rather than scientists looking for the truth. And look around, this is everywhere. I'm sure you know what confirmation bias is, but just for the sake of this, I'll go over it. We seek out information that supports what we already believe and overlook information that challenges us. Watching only news sources or creators who already agree with us is an example. Your brain isn't trying to find the truth, it's often trying to stay consistent. And this one right here is what really got me. It's called naive realism. The idea of it is we naturally assume we see reality objectively, while people who disagree are either biased or uninformed or irrational. And why it's powerful is both sides often believe they're simply seeing the facts. What if we're all looking through different lenses instead of one side being completely blind? And that's kind of where I think of it, like how I think of it, like everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to do what's right. It doesn't make them evil because they might see, like, if you're trying to get to the same conclusion in a way of like, let's do what's right here. We just have different ways of seeing how to get to that. That doesn't mean the other person's evil. It just means you have a difference in ideas. And so with tribalism involved, where we, it kind of paints this picture where we we find our tribe, then everybody in that tribe is scared to speak up because they don't want to come off disloyal. And then we just surround ourselves with people who think like us and watch things that, confirm what we already believe and stuff. And it starts turning into this, psychology has a name for it. It's some kind of bubble that we end up putting ourselves in where, we don't see outside of it. And there is something called emotional contagion. Emotions spread from person to person, especially online. So outrage, fear, and anger are contagious. Sometimes we're not angry because we thought deeply about an issue. We caught someone else's anger. And there's something called dehumanization, where instead of seeing opponents as people, we begin seeing them as labels or stereotypes. So we think they're evil, they're idiots. And why that's dangerous is once people stop seeing each other as human beings, respectful conversation becomes much harder. The moment we stop seeing people as people, everyone loses. And I've heard people say this, whether you're on the right or the left or anywhere else, people will say things like, I'm done being nice. If you're going to think this or that, I'm done being nice about it. Well, dude, that's dehumanization. It's like, this is a real person, and you might be trying to reach the same goal, which is to do what's morally right or to do what's right. It's just you see two different paths on how to get there. And so, it would be a lot healthier according to psychology, if people met in the middle and tried to have a respectful conversation, because like even me in my personal experience is like, there's been times I've asked, like I say, I'm not a super political guy here, so like I'm just a very curious person. So like I've asked questions to people before just out of curiosity, and it's like immediately they're so on guard, like they think I'm trying to like ask some kind of gotcha question or something, that they respond very like mean about it. Or I've had people just totally dogpile on me and just, wow, what an idiot, like for asking this question. And it's like, how do you expect anybody to want to hear you if that's your reaction, So I end up just giving up and being like, never mind, I'm not going to talk to that person about it anymore, because they're just going to gang up on me, So really I've scripted this to some level here, and I wrote this part. This is what I want to say. Here's the part I hope everyone takes away. Every single psychological concept that I've talked about on this can affect anyone. Republicans, Democrats, independents, me, you. Nobody is immune to the way the human brain works. If we can recognize these biases in ourselves instead of only seeing the biases in other people, we might spend less time trying to defeat each other and more time... Whoa. Something popped up. And more time trying to understand each other. That's not weakness, it's intellectual humility. And maybe that's something we could all use a little more of. I mean, I think it is. From me, somebody who doesn't really like, I don't land really hard. My beliefs and my opinions are aside from the point, but they bounce everywhere, like I have my own feelings on different things, and that's why I don't like to fall under any specific category, because, somebody on the left might think I'm on the right, somebody on the right might think I'm on the left, whatever. But as a human being, on the psychological side of things, these are all things that play into it. And according to psychology, it can turn into like our whole identity is now our political opinions. So if somebody goes against our political opinions, it can feel like a personal attack on us. And then it turns into we get very defensive very quickly, and it can turn into an argument instead of getting anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere if all we do is argue. We're not going to get anywhere if all we do is bicker. But some people get addicted to that. Some people get addicted to, not literally, but in a sense, they get addicted. They want the argument. They enjoy the back and forth. It makes them feel smarter to be like, well, I know this and you don't. But at the end of the day, what is going to make us stronger as a country? What is going to make us stronger as even individuals? And the psychology points to not any of that. All of these are behind it is negative. It's negative connotation behind all of it. Like, and being surrounded by agreement can make even reasonable people more extreme. And this is all coming from psychology. So I just hope this is food for thought for people. I hope that maybe we can somehow think before we just dive in, like I feel like it makes us, we're losing our individuality. And it's kind of just turning into tribalism in every direction you look, where it's just us versus them. And the best way to defeat anything is to, come in between. If you want to wreck a household, come in between the family and turn them all against each other. And then they don't stand a chance, I mean, it's everywhere you look. I mean, thousands of years ago they knew this. Thousands of years ago they knew this, and my hope is that people will just hear me out on this a little bit. I'm not trying to come at any specific people. I'm just trying to point out what's going on a psychological level, and hope to God that maybe it'll give you some food for thought instead of just, but once this stuff gets so ingrained into your mind, it's very hard to get people to think outside the box. A lot of people take pride in their political beliefs and they make it their entire identity. And so for those people especially, I hope this gives you some food for thought. And yeah, if you enjoy psychology, this is just one of many things I've covered. One of my most interesting ones, in my opinion, is the online disinhibition effect. It goes along with this quite well, actually, about how, because being online is newly introduced to humanity, relatively speaking, and it has a way bigger effect on us psychologically than you would think after you study it. You should check that video out too if you are. But for now, yeah, I hope this just gave you something to think about. Let me know what you guys think. I love you all. I hope we can get along. I hope we can all kind of start thinking outside the box a little more and being a little more open-minded towards a lot of things, and understand that we're all human at the end of the day, and we're, a lot of people are just trying to get to a good place, and they just see the route to that good place differently. So instead of it splitting us up and tearing us apart, I would hope that we could come together more. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and if you enjoyed this or any other psychological things, if you're into psychology like me, like you're a total nerd for it like I am, let me know. I would love to talk to like-minded people, and maybe we can you can even tell me what you were interested in. I'll do a full study on it and do a whole video on it if you want. But all right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you want to do, and I'll see you later. Peace out.